Welcome to Bookskipper. This is the part 2 of the video. In this video, I'll continue walking you through on how to create a dynamic and searchable chart of account with only formula. Once we get the display text, we can move on to the searchable part. We need to create my contain column. The contain column will check whether our select cell text is included in the individual rows. And the next one I'm going to create is my search ID, because I need to label all the rows that meet the criteria. And then we will have my search results, or just call it my result. This one will be listing all the accounts that meet the criteria, and then it will be used in the Dropbox. So my contain is going to be a search formula. So we're looking for the find text. The find text will be our selected cell. Actually, I need to name the select cell first because I don't want to use the cell reference. So I name the C1 cell as my select cell. So we go back to the formula, we use the search, and we're looking back from the my select cell, comma, within text will be here. Get rid of the @ sign because we want to look up for the my select cell text and check against the display text column. When you close the bracket, oh, how come? You know what? Because my display text is displaying Chinese right now, but I'm looking for English, so you won't see anything. So let's go back to bookkeeping interface and change our language back to English. So we get back to the chart of account. When we look for cash, the first two rows meet the criterion. It has cash string inside, so it displays 1. This account doesn't have cash, so it displays an error. But we don't want that. We want only 1 and 0. We need to use the is number to wrap around the whole thing, so that when this one is a number, my contain column is a number, then it returns true. But it is still not 1 and 0. We use the if formula. If this thing, the search text, is number, then we return 1. Otherwise, if it is not a number, that means it doesn't meet the criteria, then we return 0. We will have 1, 0. We can move on to the search ID. Our search ID will be equal to if the contain column. So we select one cell here and get rid of the @ sign to select the whole contain column. If the contain column equals 1, comma, Alt Enter. So the value, if true, will be equal to sum of G1. But we can't select the cell directly, so we need to use, let me move this a little bit, the G8. So this one, the first cell is G8. We lock the first cell by pressing F4. And then we use the colon, we select the first cell again, which is G8. Let's say if you move down to G9, the sum will become G8 and G9. 1 plus 1 is 2. So that the search ID for H8 is 1 and H9 is 2. And when you see the next one, then you will add the next one. So it becomes 3 and so on. If the contain column equals 1, then we will add these up. Otherwise, we will just return 0, comma. The value if false is Alt Enter 0. Then I close the bracket. So you see 1, 2, and so on. Okay, once we get the ID, we can start compiling the search result. So the formula will be index, and then we are going to look up from the my display text column, comma, Alt Enter, and then I'm going to use the rows I8, which is this cell, and then I use it to move to the next range, and then I look up from my search ID, which is this one. So my search ID is being highlighted, and then comma, exact match. Let me close the index first. So when I press enter, then you see my result will return these two rows that meet the criteria cache. you'll also see the NA. I don't want to see the NA here. So what I can do is highlight everything by pressing Shift and the arrow. You highlight everything and you press C, so that in case if you mess things up, you can Control A, Control V to get back your formula. Equal if error and wrap around the whole thing, and then you put comma. You will be prompted to enter the value if error. So if the value, which is the whole thing here, if this whole thing gives you an error like this, NA, I would just put double quote, give it blank space here, and then I close the bracket so that you will see those that don't meet the criteria will return a blank cell. Actually, it's not blank, but it appears as blank. Up to this moment, I have everything to create my Dropbox. Right now, we can create two things. The first thing is my first cell. The lookup cell that I'm going to look up, because I'm going to look up from the whole range from my result. Our Dropbox is going to be equal to my first cell, colon, and then my lookup range. Actually, you need something to filter out those that don't meet the criteria. My first cell is, let me press Ctrl F3 to open up the name manager. Just click new and then name it my first cell, and it refers to, just backspace to delete that, and let me click the first cell of my result column because I'm going to use it as the first cell. Close it, and then I will name the range my lookup range. Ctrl F3, open up the name manager, and then click new. Just name it as my lookup range, get rid of the original stuff, and then I select my cell. Okay, so you're going to select the table, my chart of account. The whole column is called my result. Okay, and then you press OK. Then I can further create our Dropbox formula equal to the first cell of the result. My first cell, and then colon, and it's going to be index. What I'm going to look for is my lookup range, the whole thing from my result, comma, and then count. If we are prompted to input the range is going to be my lookup range, comma, and then criteria will be the double quote asterisk question mark. Okay, we don't need to output this formula, but we need to Control C to copy that. And usually I press Home key to get back to the leftmost space, and then I put a single quote so that I can go back to this formula in case I forgot. Let's press Ctrl F3 to open up the name manager. Create new, name this my Dropbox. It's going to be referring to the formula that we just did. So it's okay. Then you will see here, my Dropbox is going to be referring to the first cell, colon, and then the whole result column. We go back to the cache because we don't want to change this cell every time by going back to chart of count, right? So what we are going to do is replace it with equal to cell and then contents. Close it. You will be prompted an alert, but it doesn't matter. You just click OK. Then you go back to the My Bookkeeping interface and you move on to the My Account selection. And you can add Dropbox by doing Alt-DL. So you just go to Error Alert first and untick the Show Error because you don't want to get the error message that I got. And the allowed value is a list. Oh, sorry, not a date. It's a list. For the source, you left click and then you press F3 so that you can paste the name, my Dropbox, that you just create. And this time, you know why you can select the cash deposit? Because that's the stuff, but you can just ignore this. And every time you want to select my account, you need to change the type. Let's save to P. Then your account selection will be all the selection that contains P. If you put expense, then you can select those that contains expense. Let's clear that. Control C, Shift, N key, down arrow, Control V. So this one, let's say if I want to look up for cash. Then I choose bank and I type cash and I can select only cash. If I don't select anything, then I will see all the items that contain B. There you go. Thank you. Bye bye.